I'm Joseph.
And I'm Nick.
Oh.
What?
Wait, do I say it? God, I feel like I haven't done it in so long.
It's only been a week.
Oh my God. And this is Fish Jelly. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Today is January 2nd.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's been a very busy week.
Yes.
We're recording this pretty late at night. We moved into our new house on...
Yesterday. Jesus.
Yeah. But we had like 3 days or 4 days prior to getting...
We've been moving stuff since last Tuesday.
We've been moving things since last Tuesday because there was like... The move-in date was like a moving target, so securing movers was difficult. And we ultimately had several days free that we didn't want to waste. So we just rented a van and moved smaller things on our own, which amounted to a lot of stuff because it's mostly all of your movies and books. So,
there's like 2 libraries worth of things, yeah.
And then the movers came and did all the big things.
Oh, which is always, moving is traumatic. And I don't mean physically.
Well,
I mean, even listen. Well, the place we moved into is 4 stories, so having these poor guys
carry a king-size mattress up to the 4th floor was like, oh my God.
And a dresser that is very heavy.
Yes, and they did it. So very grateful for that. I definitely couldn't have done it with my weak constitution.
The last time you and I tried to move a piece of furniture through a stairwell, it was 2010, and it got stuck. And then Joseph thought it would be a good idea to...
Well, I've told this story many times. So this was when I first moved in with Nick. He lived in a building that was made in like 1893. Mm-hmm. And it was a tiny little 1-bedroom apartment. It was kind of raggedy because it was old. And you had these 2 big couches in your living room. Mm-hmm. One of them was a pull-out sofa, and the other was this long couch. So we are starting to move things out of the apartment, and it was like a Sunday night, and it was in the evening. I remember that. Mm-hmm. And we get to the biggest item, which is this large-ass couch, and we get it out of the front door of the apartment, mm-hmm. and we try to go down the stairs because you were on the 2nd floor, mm-hmm. and the stairwell was so narrow, and it had a tight turn. And I'm just like, I can't figure out how to do this. So finally I ask you, how did you get this up here? And Nick says, oh, this couch came with the apartment. When I tell you I was so annoyed, like... I'm like, I can't believe that you kept a random couch that you don't know.
Okay, well,
but anyway,
since you had to just, of course, add that detail to shame me to the world, I was also 22, and the other couch was the with the pullout was the very first piece of furniture I bought on my own as a young adult.
But anyway, to finish the story, we can't get it down the stairs, and it gets stuck because, like, in the process of trying, I slipped. The couch fell out of my hands.
It broke the window.
The stained glass window, and it was stuck.
Yeah.
So me being me, I was like, well, I guess this is the end. Like it is what it is.
You said, let's leave it here.
Yeah, let's leave it there. And then it'll get, the building manager will have to figure it out, and I'm sure we'll get charged, but whatever. I can't do this. And of course, Nick being Nick is like, we're going to figure it out. So he drives to a 24-hour Walmart, like half an hour
Because that's
away.
all there was.
And he buys like a handsaw.
Sure did.
Like the kind that makes that wah, wah, wah sound when you hit it. And you saw this couch in half.
I sure did.
And by this point, it's like 1 a.m.
No, it was like 3 a.m.
3 a.m.
That's why we had to go to Walmart, because it was already almost 1.
Okay. You saw this couch in half. Were able to get it out of there.
Through fucking metal.
And it was the winter.
No, it wasn't. It was summer.
Was it warm?
It was warm enough, yeah.
Okay, never mind. We get it out, and the building manager, who was a friendly enough guy, he's like...
He was a friend of Dorothy.
He's like, what were you guys doing? Why did you go this way? And then he explains to us that on the other side of the building are these service stairs, which are much bigger.
Which, you know, the year...
And that's how they got the couch up, whomever owned it before Nick.
Some man named Bobby. You know, all the years I lived in that apartment, I never knew that side was bigger because I never went up that. We never used that entrance because we were...
To tell another moving story that always sends chills up my spine, when I moved my mom from Louisiana to Nevada. So drove out there, packed up her truck, or packed up the moving truck, which was this huge truck filled with stuff, and then her car, which is an important point to the story, was connected to this huge trailer truck, and it was on a flatbed. So when we go to pick up the truck, the person who, like the sales associate or whatever, the rental person, was in a hurry and didn't have time to do anything, and was like, well, I have to go. If you can't get here by this time, you can't have the truck. So we rush out there. He gives us the truck, and he's like, oh, the trailer, you just put it on, and that's it. So we put the trailer on, get my mom's car on it, attach it, you know, to the trailer, filled with stuff, and make our way to the West Coast. And we drive all the way safely. We get to Nevada, and my brother-in-law works in a body shop, and they have contracts with like U-Haul, USPS. He does a lot of work on specifically U-Haul trucks. So we get to his house, and he's helping me with removing the trailer from the truck, but I had walked away because I was talking to my sister and my mom. We were all catching up, and we turn and look at him, and he's already a pale Jewish man, but he looked white as a ghost. And he was like almost freaking out to the point where my sister knew something was wrong, and she ran over. And then I can hear her say like, oh my God. So my mom and I walk over to them like, what's wrong? Like, I thought I had like, there was a dead dog underneath the car. I don't know.
A body.
We find out that I didn't attach the trailer properly to the truck. So, you know how it has that ball hitch?
Yeah.
It's supposed to like be fully in, like, it's supposed to connect fully, like snap, and then you lock it. That shit, I had just put it on top of the ball. So the only thing really holding the trailer to the truck was the weight of the car pressing down on the ball. So when he finally took it off, you could see that there was like a little dent in the ball. And he's like, that is the only thing that kept that thing on there. And he said the worst part is I had also connected the chains. So in addition to the ball, there are two chains that attach to the truck. And he's like, we have seen so many times where people don't attach it correctly and the trailer falls off and the chains kind of keep it. But when you're only going like 20 miles an hour, it's enough to stop it. But I was driving on the interstate for 1,500 miles. And he's like, you're doing 70 miles an hour and that trailer with a car on top detaches and the chain, it would have flipped that truck potentially, or you would have lost control. And depending on where you were, you could have fallen off a bridge.
Yeah.
I get chills thinking about it because I'm like, I could have killed myself, killed my mom, like, because I didn't know what I was doing. So that's another moving story. But anyway.
Yeah, you have another one though where you were moving with your mother and the car that didn't start on fire.
Bitch, so this was
Did you not?
I forgot about that. See, I have so many horrible moving stories.
Wait, you forgot about something?
Yeah. So this was 1999, and I was living in Mobile, Alabama, and decided to move back to Vegas.
Which, can we pause for a minute and just...
I don't know what I was thinking, and it's a long story that I'll save for another day, but it was a nice opportunity, and like I had a gig going, and I could transfer colleges, so it seemed to be smart, but living in Mobile was not cute. But not in 1998. as a gay brown person, but so I decided to move back to Vegas so I could finish college, and packed up my truck, just like the truck in the previous story, same kind of truck, a huge truck, and then I had my car attached to the back of this truck. But this time it wasn't on a bed, it was just the kind of attachment where the car, like two wheels are on the ground. So the back wheels of my car were like spinning on the highway with the truck I was driving. So we're driving from Alabama to Nevada, and oh my God, torrential rain. I had pulled into a small hotel once, and the guy was like the person who worked there was like ran out in the rain screaming at me like, don't come in here. And I'm like, what the fuck is happening? And the person's screaming like, don't pull in. And I'm like, I don't understand. Like there's nothing here. I pull in and realize the reason he was doing that is because there's nowhere to turn around. Mm-hmm. And the kind of trailer I had, you can't just back up straight. The car's going to go one way or the other, and there's nowhere to go. So this man in the pouring rain had to help me detach my car. Mm-hmm. And this is part of the story. In the pouring rain, detach my car, move my car. We had to both manually like move this trailer tow thing, back the big truck out, and then I had to reattach it. Well, in the process of reattaching it, I made a mistake. So I'm driving, and by this point, the rain has subsided enough that there's no precipitation. Driving down the interstate, and all these people are like waving at me and honking at me. And I'm like, and they're pointing like back. So of course I pull over, and all I see is smoke. And my stupid ass, when I put that car, because I didn't originally attach my car to the truck, the person at the U-Haul did.
Right.
But when I reattached it, I left the emergency brake on.
Oh.
So I drove for like an hour doing 70 miles an hour with that car's back wheels like locked. So the back, like the brakes had caught on fire, the tires were totally torn up. So,
but to be fair, Joseph did drive us across country from Minnesota to Los Angeles just fine with a car attached to the back, a trailer.
I've done this drive more than once.
So you can do it
with a large truck and a car attached. I've done it 3 times with that specific scenario. Twice they were just terrible, and then the one time with you, it was fine. And that time we had 2 Sphinx cats.
We did.
Who we had to drug.
We did drug
and the drugs didn't really...
They resisted the drugs. Yes, they did.
But the vet explained that because the cats are nocturnal, like the drugs will work during the day.
Oh yeah, at night.
So during the day, the 2 cats look like corpses. They were frozen and solid. But at night, they were alive. And we were in these hotel rooms trying to be discreet with these 2 cats, and they were... Oh, that was not good. Because couldn't sleep.
Yeah, that was hard.
But anyway, we are moved in now. Now we have the long chore of putting our house together. We did get messages about people wanting to send housewarming gifts.
Oh, God.
So I will have to share our P.O. box. Because I will accept gifts. I'm not too cute to accept a gift. So I'll share a P.O. box.
That's how I got you.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
But just people's kind words is all we really need. But
he doesn't really.
But I do like wine and candles, so whatever.
What did you get for Christmas, huh?
Candles.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, some nice candles.
Yeah.
Nick got me. Anthropology sells this fucking enormous candle that I wouldn't buy for myself because I thought it was too much money. But Nick bought it for me.
Yeah, that was. But even the ladies working behind the desk were like, "Oh, you got the big one."
Yeah, and then I got a really nice Le Labo candle. Again, another item that I wanted but wouldn't buy for myself. So that's nice. All right, so we spent a lot of time on that. Moving on.
Well, it's been an exhausting week.
Queen of the Universe. We watched the finale.
Oh yeah, that happened.
The top 3 were Grad Queen, Ada Vox, and Aria B. Cassadine. Mm-hmm. They each had to perform They each did 2 songs. The first song was a holiday,
Yeah.
like it's supposed to be like a Christmas theme song, and then the second song they had to sing was like a showstopper. Mm-hmm. So the first to go was who went first? Greg Queen. She did Jingle Bell Rock.
Jingle Bell Rock, yeah.
I thought she killed it. She made it her own. It was fun.
Sure.
Then Aria B. Cassadine did Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, which already was weird because Greg Queen had a full-on set, like dancers, full production. And then Aria B. Cassadine comes out wearing kitten heels and like an ill-fitting tuxedo with top hat. And she sings Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer beautifully. But it's just not the kind of song that...
Well, she tried to do like the sexy...
like jazzy version.
Yeah.
That just didn't...
It was very... oh God. What's her name? It felt Dionne Warwick, but should have been Eartha Kitt.
It was an odd choice because it's not a super catchy song. It's not... I mean, when we think of like Christmas songs, that's not one that I would think of. And then she didn't have any dancers, no stage production. So I'm so curious. I'm sure we'll find out in the coming months. Like she'll do some interview and explain what happened. And then Ada Vox did a song called
Pure Imagination.
Pure Imagination.
Sung by Gene Wilder originally. It's very interesting.
And she did a fantastic job.
Yeah.
Then they did their showstoppers. And I thought... So Aria B. Cassadine, her vocals were not on point for her showstopper, unfortunately.
She was, when you do something that there's too much of a strain, and you could tell.
Yeah, she was trying too hard.
And she faltered, yeah.
But Ada Vox and Greg Queen did a tremendous job. The winner of the first season of Queen of the Universe is Greg Queen.
And I did like her Rise Up
by Andre Day.
That was very well done. But, my favorite overall was Ada Vox.
I think the best, like someone you said that she kind of is like Susan Boyle, and I think that...
I only said that because I said if Susan Boyle can be notable, Ada Vox needs to be notable.
No. Yes, you weren't comparing them except to say that I think that they are similar in that Ada Vox has a beautiful voice, and I think she could get like good producers, good writers to give her material. I think she could have a beautiful album. I just don't think that she has she's a great artist and a fantastic singer and will have an amazing career. But when I compare her to Greg Queen also has an amazing voice with a greater range because Ada Vox's voice is due to a congenital disorder that caused her vocal cords to be like abnormal in some way. And that's why she speaks with a very high voice.
She does.
And can sing at that register, but she doesn't have like a deep tone. So I feel like she's kind of limited, but a beautiful, beautiful voice. Greg Queen, her range is like out of this world. And then she has her own little, she puts her own little stank on it. And every song she did felt like, to me, I would say that Greg Queen is like if Amy Winehouse were like a drag queen with better vocals. Because she has that like sort of raspy, gravelly voice, but with a lot of power and control. And then she's not even like a native English speaker. Mm-hmm. And when she's speaking in English, it's a little crunchy, but she hits those lyrics perfectly and somehow makes them her own. It's very interesting.
But I thought both her and Ada Vox, it seemed effortless.
Yes. I could see Greg Queen being like in movies and television.
But then it just begs the question for this reality television series based on drag queens that can sing, and it comes down to maybe 3 that are very well, plus what's her name from Lavoie, I think is a great singer.
Everyone on the show could sing except Jujubee.
But was every one of them a good singer though?
I mean, they're better than I mean, I think they were all talented vocalists except Jujubee. But I just was. There were only 6 episodes,
Yeah.
And they got rid of these people so quickly. So I didn't like that. We also don't get any behind the scenes of how they prepare.
Oh, do you want to speak on the opening of the lip sync?
Yeah, the final episode had all the eliminated queens come back, and they did like this lip sync performance together.
And it felt very much like
All
Stars
Stars
season 3.
3, where they do the like live, except they're not singing live, which I thought was weird because the entire premise of Queen of the Universe is that they don't lip sync, and then this final performance, they're all lip syncing. It was fun to see them, but then not really because we only had 6 episodes total. So we really don't have a lot. I didn't feel connected to any of these queens. We don't really hear them interacting with each other.
Those moments feel very forced.
And when we do see them behind the scenes, it's always them just sitting in like backstage and with these forced moments. So I don't feel super connected to these queens, so I didn't need to see them come back. I would watch season 2. Mm-hmm. I would like it to be longer so we can get to know these queens better. Because some of these people got kicked off like
after one episode.
Like
nine of them.
Yeah, 9 people got kicked off by the second episode. I'm assuming all of their drag is provided by the show, that they don't have to make their own drag. So in that regard, it's not like they have to spend all this money like on RuPaul's Drag Race. But
right.
It would be nice to get to know these people because really it just feels like a karaoke, like we're watching karaoke.
But good karaoke.
Yeah, but good karaoke. So anyway, we're going to do something different because in the midst of all of our moving, I didn't prepare anything. So Nick is going to... So, just because I know you have... Just to help you organize, you can see the time up here. So just try to keep the flow going, I guess.
Oh, girl.
Let's see how you do.
Don't you test me.
You're being tested right now, so go ahead.
As are you.
Okay.
New releases this week. I don't think we saw anything, but The Lost Daughter opened wide, or believe became available to stream on Netflix. It had a theatrical release prior to that.
We reviewed that movie.
We did. So that came out. And then Jockey, which we didn't review, but I saw out of Sundance last year, early 2021.
About that horse racer?
Yeah.
The trailer I saw at True to the Game 3?
Yeah.
You didn't tell me you saw that.
I saw it at Sundance last January.
I was asking about that movie and you didn't mention that you saw it.
Oh, well, I did. That was one of the ones they sent liquor over to our house for.
Oh.
But it's really worth seeing for a pretty good Clifton Collins Jr. Role, who you've seen in things, and also Molly Parker. But yeah, we were moving this week, so I didn't make an effort for you to see it as well. And then for whatever reason, we had kind of some time. As you said, we were waiting with the moving target of the move-in dates. So we actually watched more than usual, I think, for fun at home. But I started making my way through Severin Films released All the Haunts Be Ours, a compendium of folk horror, which, if you saw the documentary Woodlands Dark and Days Bewitched, featuring Kayla Yanis, that is all about folk horror. I was absolutely fascinated by that documentary, which focused on 3 folk horror films in particular, one of them being the original Wicker Man, which is a favorite of mine. But I watched that documentary and paused it a bunch, writing down film titles, and so I was very pleased to see that many of those films mentioned in the documentary were released in this really extravagant collection. So I had a chance to work through 4 of those titles last week. My favorite being, thus far, Eyes of Fire, a 1983 film by Avery Krauss, which is a period piece, kind of similar in mind to The Witch, where these early settlers expel this preacher for an act of adultery, and him and a small band of people wander off into the woods and make their own settlements in this territory where Native American spirits haunt them, which the special effects, the mood, very impressive. The other three I happened to watch randomly all happen to be from Australia. One of them being a film called Celia, 1989. I believe the debut of director Ann Turner, who's done a couple other things I am aware of. Period piece set in the late 50s about a little girl growing up. To me, this didn't really fit in with the folk horror section, but it is very well done. Adultery and the threat of communism determining her daily existence. Another film, The Dreaming by Mario Andriocchio from 1988, also Australian, is also interesting. This doctor treats a sick Aborigine woman and begins to be haunted and have dreams, and her father is also involved. That I didn't like as well, besides the mood. And then Joseph watched part of Allison's Birthday with me, which was interesting. You, of course, fell asleep. But about a young woman that's been primed since she was a child and snatched out of the hospital to be the vessel for this spirit inhabiting this old woman's body.
Okay.
Which was interesting. But also very predictable. I caught up with Belle, Japanese animated film by Mamoru Hosoda, which was at Cannes last year, but I missed it there. That's interesting. It's at 2 hours. I feel like it's a little long. It could have been cut, I don't know, half an hour, 40 minutes, and I would have been happier with it. And also Inserts. I had this disc lying around and I watched it. 1975 film that was rated NC-17, starring Richard Dreyfuss and Veronica Cartwright and Bob Hoskins and Jessica Harper, directed by John Byram, who directed quite a few films I feel that everybody seems to have forgotten about. Maybe the most notable in my mind being he adapted The Razor's Edge in 1984 with Bill Murray, which Bill Murray only agreed to do Ghostbusters to get The Razor's Edge made, and then of course that ended up being a flop. But Inserts is about a director of the silent era who hasn't been able to be successful in the talkies, so now he directs silent, like porn skin flicks at his mansion that he refuses to leave. It's a little stagey, but if you like any of those people interested in it, I recommend it. And then on New Year's Eve, as we were packing, I caught up with the film Nobody, starring Bob Odenkirk, directed by Ilya Naishuller, which is interesting and fun, but also, again, very familiar. And, of course, it's from the writer of John Wick, and it feels like John Wick mixed with Death Wish, although there were a lot of people I liked in it besides Odenkirk, including RZA, who strangely plays his brother, Christopher Lloyd as his dad, Michael Ironside as his father-in-law, and Connie Nielsen as his wife. Enjoyable, but don't expect too much from it. And then Joseph and I caught up with some other things, such as My Name is Polly Murray.
That's right. That documentary is on... Wait, no, you had a screener for it.
I had a screener, an award screener, yeah.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm sitting on my leg. Fell asleep.
Oh, yeah, that happens. So, Polly Murray she was a lot of things.
She was a lot of things.
And,
well, technically, somebody does address this.
Her pronouns are, it's interesting because the documentary spends a lot of time talking about her sexuality and gender identity, and it's probably safe to say that Polly would have identified as either non-binary or Polly may have been a trans man. So some people in the documentary choose to refer to Polly using the pronoun they, or they just say Polly because they feel like that honors them, Polly. But Polly is a remarkable person, and the documentary does a really good job of breaking down Polly's accomplishments and how their involvement in several prominent court cases came to be.
Well, they became a lawyer and then eventually a priest, but
and then their trajectory from becoming a lawyer to ultimately being a priest and then writing their autobiography or memoirs. Yeah, it's just remarkable. And Polly was very private about certain aspects of their life. So Polly they had a niece Was that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Who was advised, like, upon Polly's death to go through all of Polly's archives. And in doing so, found all this information about Polly's identity. But even more important, all of the accomplishments that we could attribute to Polly that they didn't ever really talk about.
Well, yeah, such as it was their idea of using the 14th Amendment for women's rights. And of course, that was the same argument at which we were able to use in that last Supreme Court. I'm forgetting the name of it, but about sex discrimination. Like that was also, that's all tied into Polly Murray's original ideas.
So a fascinating person and who did a lot of great work. I would recommend it.
Yeah, and the point, and somebody brings this up in there, is like why we don't know who Polly Murray is, and there's some kind of anger and resentment in how the consistent and constant erasure of anybody outside of the heteronormative realm. I can't believe that.
Well, there are a lot of factors too, because an interesting thing is Polly went to law school at Howard University, and one of Polly's professors was Thurgood Marshall. Mm-hmm. And even within that environment...
Not professors, was at...
Or no, I'm sorry, it was like one of the people who was like advising their law cohort. But even as a part of that group, because Polly was the only female, as it were back then, within her class, and was still treated like...
Well, she called it Jane Crow.
Yeah. So just very, very interesting, and seemed to be a very... you know what I think about people like Polly is, what a life. Mm-hmm. Like, what a life to think... Like, because everyone's so selfish and so self-absorbed, right? Like, everyone likes to do their thing, right? Like, all you care about is doing the things that you like to do, and that's all of us. Like, obsessed with movies, obsessed with reading, obsessed with cars, obsessed with the gym. And it's like, that doesn't mean anything to anyone except you or me. And then it's like, there are people out there who really just think like, I need to do, like I need to be active to improve a quality of life for everyone. And everyone talks like, yeah, we support this and this is right and this is right, but no one really does the work. No one does the work. We all just like pay lip service to everything.
I would say that there are...
Who does the work? Because, fucking playing some dodgeball tournament to raise money for, like AIDS walk or something, or like once a year is not being an activist. It's not,
I would say that those things are important, but maybe not enough if that's all you do.
Sure, but what I'm saying is most people aren't doing the most they can do. Most people aren't even doing enough to seem like they give a shit, because just saying that, and I'm part of that group.
I hear you, but I think that's a little dismissive, because you don't know what every person is or is not doing, and what they're doing is different. What you can do is different for everybody in their own capacity, and what they can. Because
what I'm saying is that if you care about something as much as you care about whatever hobby you have, and I'm talking to everyone, like whether it's movies or reading or baking or whatever the hell you love to do, riding your bike, brewing beer, I mean, I don't fucking know. It's like gardening. People have a passion for these things, and they spend so much time and energy, and it's like, well, what's more important than that? Like, human rights, civil rights, right? Like all of these things are more important, and very few people actually. So you're right. I don't know what everyone's doing, but if you person over here who all you talk about is gardening, right? There are people I work with who like gardening is very important. They talk about it a lot, and it's like, okay, so if you're right, people don't necessarily feel like it's appropriate to constantly talk about the activism they engage in. But what I'm saying is that it doesn't seem like it's possible logistically for people to have that same sort of enthusiasm and vigor for these causes that they do for their gardening or their biking or their like clay work or whatever. So that's what I'm basing it off of. That who really talks about this shit? Pauly did.
Oh, for sure.
Pauly was out here talking that shit all the time. You couldn't get a word in edgewise without her talking about how this isn't right and we need to do this. And I find that very inspiring, and also makes me feel like shit but not like Pauly is doing the work. And I even admire people who are doing shit that I don't necessarily agree with, because at least they're passionate. Like at least they're out here trying to fight for something. I find it very interesting.
Sure, but part of it, if you have any kind of platform, is to be speaking to your beliefs and what you agree. You know, there are. What I'm trying to say is there are many ways that kind of work can be done, and we can't. You know, she did sacrifice all of her time. Like, I had to laugh at one person describing her as impatient and drinking coffee all day and night.
Right,
which sounds familiar, but. We can't all do that, and I think that if you do what you can.
No, I think
complacency is dangerous.
I'm saying what percentage of people, what percentage do people spend actually doing things that make a difference? Because there's a difference between what's important to you and then what makes a difference. The fact that you love baking bread doesn't mean anything. Except that explains why you're overweight. Like, just like, I'm not saying you bake bread, but like there are people who are very passionate about
that I'm overweight,
or the people like are very passionate about like olive oil or
sure
whatever bullshit you're into. Like I love horror films and that's all I talk about and that's all I watch. It's like, but that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't do anything. That's just something you really enjoy, and it's like all of that energy. Like you don't put that towards things that matter, and I think that's most people. And so it's just very interesting and admirable to watch people who really seem to understand that we should probably, and I don't know, this is up for debate. I don't know that I'm always right or right about this thing, but it just seems like, shouldn't we exert most of our energy towards things that matter?
Yes.
And make a difference?
Yes.
And not just like, because I really like cheese, I'm going to spend all this time fucking sampling cheese.
Right, but there also is a balance that is needed in all things in moderation, and people do need escapism. It's just that...
Yeah, but how much time do you spend escaping is my question. You're right. That is necessary. Because, you go crazy.
Right, but then, you know...
But if you spend 99% of your time escaping...
Right, but escaping can be... You know, like, if we're talking in the realm of cinema, you know, I think something like adults obsessed with Marvel and DC films that is total kind of fluff and doesn't really say anything about the real world we live in, compared to other forms of cinematic expression, which really are a reflection of how the world we live in, and that move you to maybe want to do something else or think about something in a different way or have something to say. I don't know that I think cinema is pure escapism or literature for that matter. I think that they are integral to our experience and understanding others. But
that's a very, like, you're assuming that people are... You're managing our time, so how are we doing?
We're doing just fine, but
okay.
I just am not trying. I'm trying to gently push back on you in that.
No, you can totally disagree with me, and I don't. All I'm saying is it's very interesting to witness a person who really was sort of a fanatic about trying to make a difference. And that's not something we see a lot of, because everyone is passionate about what they think they believe or what they do believe. But it's like, but you don't do shit about it.
Right, but I think more than shaming, it's kind of coaching people to feel inspired to do that.
I'm not trying to shame. I'm just saying it's like there's a difference between like, oh, you donated 8 hours of your time to the Bernie Sanders campaign in 20s whatever, like that. But again, that doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't mean anything in that having to make that statement or making that proclamation or making that social media post is that feels like lip service, because if you really are doing the work, you're doing it without any kind of need for feedback or
sure, you're right, yes, but
that's why I'm saying, like, you can't assume, because people
we can assume,
because like not everything we do is to be broadcast for everybody to.
But I'm saying that I don't do shit. I'm being honest. I don't do shit. I don't donate my time. I'm not an activist. I don't post a lot about political or social things because it would just be me paying lip service to things. So I'm very sort of superficial with my social media, and I just try to be humorous because I'm actually quite dark. So I try to have a balance there, but I'm saying that I know that I ain't shit when it comes to doing things that make a difference. And I just wonder, so all I'm saying is, for me, watching this documentary about this person really made me think I ain't shit, I don't do anything. So I can say I believe in things, but what do I do to support these things I believe in? How do I try to help people? I don't do anything. I really don't.
I would say that because you are out here existing as your authentic self, sharing your views, which are.
I mean, I will still maintain I ain't shit, and I think that I just try to be as I don't want to be an obstacle to other people's happiness, and I don't want to be an obstacle to fairness and equality. So I try to be very open and cooperative, but I'm not out here fighting the good fight. I'm not fucking protesting anywhere, and I'm not risking getting arrested or.
Anyhow, speaking of that segues into another screener we caught up on, Summer of Soul, directed by Questlove.
Oh, Questlove. Questlove himself is a very he's such an interesting person. His musicality. I do have to say that he's part of the group The Roots, and I think The Roots are the first time and this makes me seem so stupid, but The Roots, I think, as a teenager, was the first time I realized Black people play instruments, and that it's not
that was, you didn't see any of the old.
No, I'm not talking about Louis Armstrong or no. I know that Black people played instruments, but it was just watching Black people play instruments in a way that wasn't it was new school kind of.
Sure.
It doesn't have to be jazz or blues.
Oh, okay, sure.
That's what I meant. I wasn't clear.
Or Hootie and the Blowfish.
Wow. Well, Hootie didn't play an instrument though. No. But anyway, so Questlove
this
produced this documentary.
Yeah, it was John Waters' second favorite film of the year, which we still have to.
And it's about this series of concerts
in 1969,
featuring
in Harlem.
Yeah,
featuring all the Who's, a compendium of Black artists, and then of course was filmed, and nobody was interested in broadcasting it. And Woodstock, of course, became the cultural zeitgeist marker of that summer and that era, which is such a shame. But it was very, very well edited, put together, this footage, and a lot of phenomenal performances. I will say, the Nina Simone documentary, I remember she used clips from this passage, from this performance. And in this context, in Summer of Soul, it feels like, because she's reading out a poem saying these things, and I don't know if that was clear to me in the Nina Simone documentary, which made her seem more mentally unbalanced.
Yeah, the Nina Simone, well, the scene you're talking about in particular, she's reading a poem from a Black poet, a gentleman, and in the Nina Simone documentary, the soundbite that I think resonated or shocked us was that she told everyone, y'all ready to kill?
It's something like that, yeah.
Something like that. But then in Summer of Soul, we get the context, which is she says, I have a friend, this poet, whose name I should remember and I don't. But he's unable to attend, so he sent me here with this poem to read.
Isn't it Langston Hughes?
It is Langston Hughes.
Because she's like, y'all know the poet Langston Hughes? No, she goes, y'all remember Lorraine Hansberry is a raisin in the sun, and there's like crickets, and she goes, huh?
That's right. That's why I was like, I know I should know. So, yes. So she says, Langston Hughes sent me this poem. He couldn't attend, but he wanted to make sure I read it. So she reads this poem, and she does a fantastic job. And then one of the lines is like, "Are you ready to kill or do some killing or something like that?" So it's interesting how in the documentary about her, she was made to seem sort of like aggressive and unstable, and maybe those things were true, and she did suffer from mental illness. But in Summer of Soul, we really see that this particular soundbite, there was context, and it makes her sound much more lucid.
Did you? So we're winding down. We have 2 more films to talk about. But did you have any favorite parts from this documentary?
Nina Simone.
That was your favorite part?
Yeah.
My favorite part was Mahalia Jackson and Mavis
Staples.
Staples.
Mahalia Jackson and Mavis Staples, yes. They sing a performance right after everyone was made aware that MLK had been assassinated. So, that was beautiful.
Well, they sang the song that he was talking about right as he was assassinated, which leads in Mahalia Jackson. We hear the voice of Mavis Staples. She isn't allowing herself to be on film for this. But talking about how Mahalia wasn't feeling well, and she asked Mavis Staples to sing with her, and it's like that's chills down your spine moment.
Yeah.
There, but Sly and Family Stone. That was I'd never seen them sing before. Of course, those songs.
Oh, I have to give a shout out to Marilyn McCoo. She's also in the documentary, and I've always really liked her. I've seen her in concert more than once, and she is a gorgeous woman with a beautiful voice. And hearing her talk about the concert series and her participation was really cool. We should move on.
Lamb. I forgot you to watch Lamb, starring
Cheryl, that movie was a joke.
Noomi Rapace, yeah.
I can't even. There's not enough time to even talk about it.
I mean, I didn't like that movie out of Cannes, and it was all the hype because A24 had purchased it beforehand.
I can't even say I would recommend people check it out because it's just so damn dry. The movie takes itself too seriously, and then you have this little kid with a lamb head standing there pointing and grunting and shit. It was...
The adult drama behind what's going on is so boring and dull, and if I have to watch another movie with Noomi where she can't give birth and has these weird mommy issues, it's like I'm tired of that.
Yeah, the adults are just so boring. I don't care about this affair that you're having
with her husband's brother, and then the weird sheep man thing that sired this lamb child and. That we all know is coming. You're gonna see. It just has no depth to it. To me, it's incredibly superficial. It
could have been a short film.
It could have been something. If this should have, why the fuck can't we write interesting characters anymore? These people should have played like Tennessee Williams. These fucking dysfunctional people out in the tundra in Iceland, childless, have a dead kid, and then they have this lamb baby.
Also, the fact that they have they don't have the lamb baby. A lamb man creature impregnates a lamb, and a sheep, and then the sheep has the lamb baby. And then when Noomi and her man see it, they're not shocked. They immediately
take it out. The only eerie element to me was the sheep, the mama sheep that kept crying for the baby, and then Noomi kills it. That was the only part that was like, oh, okay, this is interesting. But yeah, because I remember I started it, and I know I was cool on it out of Cannes, but I was like, maybe I was tired and cranky, because sometimes that happens. But no, I really didn't enjoy that film. Although in 40 or 50 years, I could see that being in a collection of folk horror, much like the one I'm saying I love so much. But it really is, it's just very bare bones folk horror mythology that has nothing new to say. And we got to rush through our obituary section to talk about our...
Yeah, you have 11 minutes.
Well, Desmond Tutu died this week.
Who I've had the chance to see speak at McAllister College in St. Paul, Minnesota. He died at the age of 90.
Yeah.
So he had a long, productive life.
The South African bishop.
And civil rights activist.
Betty White died on New Year's Eve, 99 years old. Right on the eve of a few things, Betty. Of course, who isn't a fan of Betty White? but she was 99.
She lived a long life, and I'm sure she's at peace.
She made many jokes and had many things to say about growing older. And, you know, if you want to honor her, go watch her in You Again, opposite Sigourney Weaver. And then, surprisingly, Jean Marc Vallee, who at the age of 58 died. I haven't checked up. My sister said she read it was a heart attack, but the director from Quebec, who directed many very notable films, started out with Crazy and the Young Victoria before becoming quite big in Hollywood with the Dallas Buyers Club and Demolition and Wild, and a couple very notable television series like the first season of Big Little Lies and Sharp Objects. I find a lot of his stuff kind of overproduced, but Café de Flore sticks out as something interesting with Vanessa Paradis. But yeah, it's shocking and sad.
I don't know who that is, so... I don't know. Was he living right? I don't know. Because that's pretty young to die. Anyway, keep it moving.
Technically, the secret film of the week, which you finished watching today, was Midnight in the Switchgrass.
Okay. What made you want to rent that?
Well, I talked about it when it was in production on this podcast, so of course, which you don't remember.
We have no time, but this movie was some bullshit.
It was the directorial debut of Randall Emmett, who some might know due to his online scuffle with 50 Cent. And I'm sorry, forgive me, Fofty.
I recall something like that, but I don't know what it was about.
He's a producer. He made this film. That's very bad.
Okay, this film is about it. So it has some notable people: Bruce Willis, Megan Fox, Emile Hirsch, Lucas Haas,
Machine Gun Kelly.
Machine Gun Kelly's in it, but Bruce Willis and Megan Fox play FBI agents who are we find them doing like a pedophile sting on a pedophile ring or something in northern Florida,
Pensacola,
and
it's set in 2004.
And they're looking for one person in particular. Then we have Emile Hirsch playing
He's like a Florida state officer
who's also looking for like the person who's responsible for this missing girl. Oh my god! And then the killer we find out is Lucas Haas like right away.
Yeah.
So there's no real tension except like when is he going to get caught? And the opening of the film is Emile Hirsch's character talking to this mom, and she says like, "Promise me you'll." Like, when you find out what happened to my daughter, you're going to come knock on
When you catch this guy.
You're going to come knock on my door and tell me. So, obviously, the end of the film is going to be that, and that's what it is. But there's nothing to tell. Like, Megan Fox and Emile Hirsch's character end up finding Lucas Haas, who we already know is the killer. The end. Bruce Willis... doesn't have anything to do.
He's like her partner.
He's her partner, but he decides that he doesn't want to work with her because she's like volatile. Mm-hmm. Oh my god! I know we reviewed a movie with her. We reviewed two movies with her, and I said the same thing in both. That like she has no personality. Like she's so flat, and people get so mad about that. And it's like, well, this is the third movie now I've seen her in.
They do?
Yeah, people comment like that.
Oh, Rogue and Till Death.
Yeah, and it's like she's gorgeous, but that lady is so damn flat.
At first, there are a couple sequences.
There were a couple scenes where it was like, oh, she's giving us a little something, but it just ended up
at the point in the end where she's coaching the other captive girl because she also gets drugged and abducted by Lucas Haas, and she's telling her to leave. You couldn't tell her more monotonously.
She's like, you have to promise me. You'll do whatever it takes to get out of here.
Oh, and then
and they're both being held captive in a damn basement, and she's talking to her so flat and like calmly.
When she shows up on the crime scene and explains what her job is on this case with the FBI.
The writing in this movie is cock-a-doodle.
It's written by somebody named Alan Horsnail, who wrote...
Alice Horsnail?
Alan Horsnail.
Alan Horsnail?
The wine's getting to me.
So Alan Hoove.
Alan Horsnail, who directed or wrote another film called Fortress, starring Bruce Willis.
Alan, this is going to be another example of me saying, like, this movie is written like if I wrote a movie. which is not good.
This is written like the very first draft of a script where you really have no idea who the characters are.
I don't understand why we have 2 agents who are so invested in catching this killer. It just feels like redundant. Emil Hirsch's giving... Okay, so apparently he got in trouble for something.
Emil Hirsch, yeah. I was at that Sundance Film Festival where he sexually assaulted... I don't remember what happened.
So that fucked his career up.
Yeah, that fucked him up.
Man, this is... People, y'all need to keep your hands to yourself and stop harassing these people because, like, this is embarrassing.
Yeah.
Because he was on the rise at one point.
Yeah, he played Sigourney Weaver's son in Imaginary Heroes.
Mm-hmm. No, but what was like his big role, like his breakout role?
Well, he was in Milk.
Milk. That wasn't a good movie though.
Yeah, it was.
Oh no, I'm thinking of Stonewall.
Oh yeah, Stonewall's crap.
Yeah. So this is what happens when y'all are out here sexually assaulting people. You end up having to do these terrible ass movies.
Oh my god.
That was bad. Lucas Haas looks crazy
as usual, but you know when you hire him.
And Bruce Willis is. He has like 4 scenes, and they're like 2 of them are him like on the scene with her, and they're both the same exact scene, and then them sitting in a restaurant talking, and then his final scene is him saying like, you know what, I can't work with you anymore. He just gets up. Like
the editing in this is quite terrible.
Oh, the editing is like they're trying to cover up a lot of mistakes.
There's a scene where Megan Fox kicks Machine Gun Kelly's ass, and the edit, it looks like it was shot in 16, 17 takes.
And Machine Gun Kelly, I know he's dating or married to Megan Fox, but like he plays like a sex trafficker, and it's like, so this was the movie that you thought, like, let me go ahead and play this despicable character? I don't think it was worth it, but...
He's hardly this film's... Then they have a small child, Lucas Haas's daughter, is reading Watership Down as an 8-year-old, but then is talking to her toy, calling it Mr. Ball. Again, it just feels very much like the writer did not... characterize any of these people at all, and it feels like, oh god, and then Emil Hirsch is married to this woman and they have a newborn.
Oh my god, there are like 3 scenes
she like calls him, she's like, your baby's being fussy, come home.
No, and then she keeps saying, she says that, and she keeps, there are like 3 scenes where the wife is telling him like, we need you. We need you. You
told me you're gonna make this family number 1. It's like, well, what about money? I don't know.
That is so poorly done. Okay, that being said, I do think this movie is worth a watch because I was amused because it is bad.
Yes, and it delivered in the title has something to do with the very first scene where the mother of a dead girl says her dad would drunkenly try to get at her and her sister, and they'd hide in the switchgrass until he fell asleep around midnight. It should have been called Pensacola Prostitutes.
That would have been better. This podcast is a mess.
Well, I'm delirious.
I'm tired, but you know, here we are. The cat's being bad. What's your quote?
Besides, I'm a former scientist.
What's that from?
That song, Wheel Me Out.
Wheel Me Out. Oh, yes. Who's it by?
I don't remember, but it's funny. Betty White's words will close us out today. Get at least 8 hours of beauty sleep. 9 if you're ugly.
Oh, how many hours do you get?
I get about 4 or 5.
You get about 4. Well, no, probably 4.
Well, according to Betty's metrics, that means I'm doing just fine.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
Bye.
Huh.